Hey guys, welcome to the first Is It Worth It episode on Warhammer Vermintide. This is a series I want to run that will hopefully help you make your mind up on whether or not you want to buy a game. So Vermintide has hit Steam stores with a fairly low price of £23 or about $30, but is it worth the price? If I had one phrase to describe Vermintide, it would be this: medieval Left 4 Dead. The game focuses heavily on co-op Left 4 Dead style objective based missions as you run through the pretty gorgeous streets of a city that is on the verge of being overrun by 6-foot rats with axes. Similar to Left 4 Dead, you choose which character you wish to survive with. However, unlike the game, each character has their own style, weapons and special skills. You have the witch hunter who carries twin pistols and a sword, who seems to be able to dish out a lot of ranged DPS really quickly, the Way Watcher who is probably my favourite of the cast, a Scottish archer who starts with twin daggers and later throughout the game can add attributes to her arrows. A really good all-round character in the game, although I'm not sure if it's a bug or not, but you can rapidly fire your arrows at the speed of a machine gun. There's a Dwarf Ranger, who whilst having a really subpar ranged weapon, can break through enemy armour without having to charge the attacks, making him the best class for dealing with some of the stronger enemies. The Mage has a sword that can eventually have attributes given to it like fire, alongside a magical staff which, depending on the staff, fires different kinds of projectiles. Instead of a mana system, casting a spell increases your overload, which will cause damage to the character the longer you continue to cast without cooling off. Finally is the Empire Soldier, probably one of the easiest characters to get a hold of, who carries a large sword and what equates to basically a shotgun as a ranged weapon, which can destroy a lot of enemies with a single shot. The game offers no real tutorial aside from tooltips at the left of your screen, but if you've played Left 4 Dead, honestly this is going to feel really familiar to you. Weapons and pickups operate similarly, and your allies are easy to identify through terrain because of their glowing outlines. Combat is okay, it very much reminds me of combat from an Elder Scrolls game like Oblivion or Skyrim, except somehow watered down. There are your regular attacks and a special charge attack on melee weapons. Every character has both a melee and a ranged weapon at their disposal, but of course some are better than others. However, slaughtering and decapitating hundreds of rats is pretty satisfying. I found an issue upon first playing where I played as the Witch Hunter, a character who heavily relies on his pistols, but there was not a single piece of ammunition throughout the entire fucking level, leaving me pretty much defenseless from any of the dangerous enemies of the game. Which brings me to the special Skaven, as they're called. As with Left 4 Dead, aside from your usual cannon fodder style enemies that will just horde you in great numbers, there are a number of elite enemies in Vermintide that can appear basically at any moment to attempt to ruin your day. As I've said, if you've played Left 4 Dead before, each of these rats will feel pretty familiar to you, such as the Assassin Rat, who acts in a very similar way to the Hunter, or the Pack Hunter, who grabs you and drags you away, like a kind of combination of a smoker and a jockey, to the Rat Ogre, who bears striking resemblance to the Tank. Which also leads me to giving you this warning. Vermintide is hard. It took me 3 tries to actually finish the first level of the game, and I was seeing my allies being downed by regular enemies fairly regularly. I think the fact that the game revolves very heavily around melee combat has just made taking damage far easier, and with ammo for guns sometimes quite sparse, it can make the game very difficult. I was playing on the second lowest difficulty of normal the whole time. You will die, and you will die again and again and again. The saving grace of this, however, is that respawns are not far and few between. You will find a lot of respawn points throughout your levels, and straight after you die you are shown where your respawn point will be, which similarly to Left 4 Dead is you'll be tied up somewhere or left in a room that your friends have to rescue you from. But since you're shown it immediately after dying, it makes coordinating it a lot easier than it normally would be. However, sometimes you can find yourself being surrounded by patrols of elite enemies who are there to protect that tied up player. But what should happen if you win? Well, you require experience points that level up and unlock features to your pub, as well as unlocking weapons. Alongside this, after each successful mission you can roll a set of die. That give you the chance to earn rare weaponry for your characters. You can increase this chance by picking up certain items and holding them in place of your health packs throughout missions, or every so often you'll find a treasure rat that will drop extra dice as well as other helpful supplies. So who is this game aimed at exactly? Well, if you're a fan of either the Left 4 Dead series or the Warhammer universe, I'd say there's a very strong chance that you'll like this game. Ultimately, it's not a very original game, and it borrows a large amount of game mechanics from Left 4 Dead, but if you are a fan of the series and would like a change of scenery, then I'd say this is right up your alleyway. As a standalone game, however, there are quite a few bugs here and there. The AI is a bit shit at times, but as far as the question of is this game worth the money, well, I'd say that if you are into this kind of hack and slash style gameplay, it does offer a lot of replay value within it. Lots of weaponry to collect, levels to gain, and the added fun potential of co-op with your friends. So yeah, $30 I'd say is a good buy, but if you're still not sure, I'd say give it a couple months, wait for it to go on sale and get it then. So that is my pseudo review of the game. If you want to see some actual gameplay, I'm going to leave a few minutes of unedited gameplay after this is finished, just so you can see what the game plays like instead of me just talking about it and using footage to display my points. So here is some gameplay from Warhammer Vermintide. Okay, so what's up guys? So welcome to the gameplay portion of this review. As I said earlier, this part of the review is just to basically show you the uncut mechanics of the game, show you how the game plays, how it operates, without me basically using footage to make my points, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I obviously pick and choose what footage to use to try and best illustrate what I'm talking about. So instead of that, I wanted to have a small portion of the video just to let you know exactly how the game runs. So I'm playing as the Way Watcher, as I spoke about earlier. Is it because she's Scottish? Is it because she's an archer? I don't know. I do like both, but that's probably one of my favourite characters to play as. Really easy to play, but does a lot of damage. Okay, people are getting chopped in half here. Also, you've got the machine gun arrows that I really like about her. So if you just panic, you can just smash people with lots and lots of arrows as well. We're playing the mission called Supply and Demand, which is after you've completed the first mission, you get a choice of like 4 or 5 different missions. So we need to go help a teammate here. Once you complete the first mission, you can do a bunch of other ones. So it's not like it's not linear. It's similar to Left 4 Dead in that you choose your what the hell? This is some bugs. There we go. We saved them. As I mentioned in the review, you know, there still is those bugs, a lot of graphical bugs that occur. I have encountered quite a few already, whether it be like enemies, limbs, fucking glitching through walls, or animations just completely failing altogether to actually to play. I'm gonna need to help my teammate here. There's also a small dodge function, which is actually really useful against fighting monsters like the ogre, which didn't work there. Which is where if you just tap spacebar instead of jumping, it will dodge. But I actually find it really useful because you can pretty much avoid all damage if you're not an idiot like me. The only thing that I feel like it is completely necessary to have the dodge, just because the game is so heavily focused on melee combat, and I feel like it would be really impossible to play this game and actually beat characters like the ogre without having a dodge function. So I mean, at least we do have one. Let's see if we can actually fucking kill this thing as well. There we go, it's down. And that is how much effort it takes to kill a rat ogre. I used almost all of my ammo. I used like 59 arrows on it. And yeah, I'm assuming that a lot of my team used a lot of arrows as well. And this is the second easiest game mode, can I just remind you? It is not a walk in the park by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, that's like part of the challenge. I mean, like that could be seen as like a good thing to lots of people. I mean, I'm completely cool with games being hard. Like, I enjoy the Dark Souls series. I know this is no way related to the Dark Souls series, but difficult games. Like I like roguelikes and games that, you know, offer a bit of challenge. Not so much into it when you rely on. It's not like I don't like it as much when you have to rely on a team really heavily. But yeah, I can cope with it. Because I always feel like when it comes to team-based games like this, either I'm gonna let my team down horribly, or my team are gonna horribly let me down. It's gonna be one or the other. So. Oh crap. So amongst obviously you have seen the pack hunter special rat, which we just saw there grabbing me and grabbing a teammate earlier. There's also got over there you can see the gas rat. It's called the poison wind globadier, I believe it's called. Which basically, if I just alert him, he'll throw a poison a poison bomb at me, like, or he will detonate it on himself like that, which does not a lot of damage, but I don't know why my my teammate is standing within the gas. But yeah, it stops vision, it poisons you, it's just basically causes a lot of fucking hassle. Kind of similar to the boomer from Left 4 Dead, in the sense that, like, I don't actually know if it attracts other rats, but it definitely blurs your vision, like if the boomer vomits on you. As well as that, yeah, we saw the ogre rat, which is like very similar to the tank from Left 4 Dead, and the pack hunter, which seems like a combination between the smoker and the jockey. Probably more similar to the jockey in that it grabs you and drags you away from your team. But I thought the fact that it kind of the way that it grabs you kind of resembled the smoker ever so slightly. I guess like the gas rat is kind of like a combination of the boomer and the smoker, and the pack hunter is a combination of the smoker and the jockey. Like, they're just kind of like grabbing special infected and smashing them together and coming up with new ones, which isn't a bad idea, which isn't a bad thing. You've also got the storm vermin, which are, we saw them a little bit earlier, but I'll point them out if we see them again. They kind of wear like Roman armor, like they wear really very heavily armored. They kind of look like Roman soldiers. And they are unable to be damaged if you are using a basic attack. So if I was just trying to attack them normally, my weapon would like bounce off their armor and it wouldn't actually do any damage. However, if you're playing as the if you're playing as the dwarf ranger, your attacks pierce armor, regardless of like if you charge it or not, which is always handy. There's a storm vermin right there. So if I try and basic attack him, you can see that it basically just bounces off his armor. It doesn't actually do any damage. I'm gonna pop a potion here, get some health back. As well as this, oh, there's a patrol. Now this is one of the hard parts of the game, because we find that these guys actually can run around in patrols of patrols of like up to 8, I think it is, 6 or 8, and they are really difficult to deal with because your charge attacks get interrupted if you are damaged. So it can make it almost impossible to actually charge up an attack and kill any of them if you are like surrounded by them quickly. Now I popped a potion of strength, which means that all my attacks do the same amount as a charge attack, so I could pierce their armor. If I didn't do that though, we probably would have died. Like, I'm not gonna lie, we probably would have got wiped right there. That is how dangerous these guys are, especially even with like 4 people in your team. If they surround you, you can get fucked up really easily. So those are probably like the most common special rats. They also saw in the review earlier they're called gutter runners, and basically they are the hunters from Left 4 Dead. They have little glowing claws, and they run really fast. They run around and jump around, and they'll dive on you and they'll just start clawing into you. And they're not as dangerous as the hunters, I'd say. They cannot attack you from a long range. They can jump, but the range on them isn't that far. You will definitely usually see them coming unless they have other slave rats or regular clan rats around them. The chances of you seeing them before you get jumped are pretty high. And here is another pack hunter. Okay, and my team are not helping me quite yet. Okay, that is one way of dealing with it. Another one of the special rats, which we'll probably be seeing at some point. Probably failed there. Okay, I thought that was it right there, but that's just another Globadier. Another special infected is the Rattling Gunner, which, as you can probably tell, is a pun on the Gatling Gunner, the heavy rate of fire machine gun thing. And basically, what you have the way to combat those guys is that get the fuck out of the way is the way to combat those guys. And that is basically it. If they target you, you have to get behind cover and wait for them to target another one of your team, because they do a lot of damage really quickly, but they're really slow. I think they don't move at all if they are fighting, so it's pretty easy to get behind cover, but you can also just get behind them, and like it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to kill them if you get close enough to them that they can't retaliate at all. But if they are at long range, they can be a real pain in the ass. I don't think there's any other special effect. I think we've pretty much covered all of them. Apart from that, there's the treasure rats, which I've only ever actually seen one of in this game, and those guys will drop cursed die, which can give you a better chance of getting an exotic weapon when you successfully complete a level. We haven't found any tomes either, which are, as I mentioned earlier in the review, the books that you pick up that replace your health packs, which is really dangerous to do, by the way. Like, if you are new, I wouldn't recommend it, or if you're playing with friends, I would only really recommend it if you're like playing with friends, or you think your team are good enough to handle it.
I'm bleeding. Does it please you?
There we go. And those, each of these things kind of increases your chances of getting a better weapon. I've only ever gotten a green weapon, which is like the second highest, no, the second lowest, sorry, you can get above common. But it's an interesting it's like an interesting concept, and I actually really like the idea of adding a little bit of replayability to this game by giving us the ability to like collect weapons. Also, there's a forge in the game, which, similar to Diablo 3 or any of the Diablo games, you can salvage your weapons and use them to like upgrade your other weapons, or you can fuse other weapons together. So you can put like 5 white weapons in, which are like the lowest kind of the common weapons, which will create a random green weapon. If you put 5 green weapons in, then you can make I think probably blue above that. I'm not actually sure. I have yet to see a weapon that is above the green pay grade at this point. But yeah, it's pretty. There's a lot of borrowed mechanics. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the game has borrowed a lot of mechanics from other games. But I mean, these are all mechanics that I really like about other games. I like the forging mechanics in Diablo. I like Left 4 Dead. Literally made a video on Left 4 Dead, not that like literally days ago on my channel, playing with friends. So I like Left 4 Dead, and I like Diablo. And the combat is kind of similar to Skyrim, except like not as good. But yeah, I don't know. It's a satisfying game. I'd say probably wait till it's on sale. But what the fuck? Like, the AI isn't great. I mean, like, what? The AI sometimes cannot handle. I mean, I actually kind of like how sophisticated the AI is. I mean, every single wall in this game is something that these rats can jump over, which is, I mean, it probably took a lot of work, and I probably am completely, it's probably a lot harder to do than it seems. Like, every single object that is lying around is something that can be like dived over. Like all the fences, like all these fences, all these roofs, just everything can be jumped over. Everything can be like overcome by the Skaven in some way. Which is good because it makes it a little bit more challenging when they come from somewhere you would never expect. Like, if you cannot put your back against the wall in this game, because a Skaven, a rat might just fucking fly over it and start nibbling on your ass. So let's see. The thing about these levels is the objective. Although it does give you an objective, it's not always 100% clear where you're supposed to be running. In Left 4 Dead, I mean, it kind of gave you a bit of an idea like where you're supposed to be going, in terms of it would give you signs or something glowing that you could like interact with. Now, obviously, this game does kind of a similar thing, but is that a Rattling Gunner? There's a Rattling Gunner over there. I'm gonna pop a strength potion. There we go. We've got a lot of special effects to do, actually. But yeah, I was in a level a little bit earlier, before, when I was making this video, called I think it was like the Hall of Illusion, and it made it very, I felt very confused as to where I was supposed to be running. It was a large room, and I figured that the point of the room was probably to confuse me, but I did end up running in circles with my 3 teammates. We had no idea where we were going. We ended up running in circles for a good 10 minutes or so, trying to find just exactly where we were supposed to head. And the only way that we actually found where we were supposed to go is because one of our team died, and we saw that the respawn point was nearby. So we just followed the respawn point to get to the progression, to get through the progression of the level. So that's maybe something that could be worked on. I don't think they will. Don't think it's a big deal really, because ultimately like the levels are not that long. One of the levels is probably about 5 minutes long, and even then, I mean, my team took quite a while to do it because we didn't really know what we were supposed to be doing. The levels can be very short. 2 of the levels I played so far took less than 10 minutes. The first level that I played though, however, first level of the game, took me like 3 tries, and each one was about 20 minutes long, 20-30 minutes. So as far as a story goes though, I believe there is acts to this game. There's like an act 1, 2 and 3. However, I'm not sure how many levels there actually is. I know there's I think there's the base sector 7 that you get once you finish the first mission. But I've checked the achievements, and I think that might be as far as it goes. It might just be that there's similar levels. The levels are the same, but the objective changes, and that's how they kind of like add a little bit of variety to it. Not sure I'm a fan of that, if that is the case, but other characters, if you want to try like a character first, I would definitely recommend the Way Watcher or the Empire Soldier as like your first option. I tried the Witch Hunter first because I saw that he had twin pistols, and I'm kind of into that, so I'm kind of into pistols and all that kind of jazz. So I went with that, but he was really kind of subpar. I did not really enjoy him as much as oh crap, please die. Nope. Oh, no way. We got downed. We were defeated. In defeat, you still get a chance to get some XP, but apart from that, you don't really get much else. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to call it quits there. Yeah, that's been the game. That's been Vermintide. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of gameplay to kind of wet your whistle for the game. So see if you like it. Would recommend it. Maybe wait for it until it's on sale. But apart from that, yeah, thank you guys. Hope you have a good day.